Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got a broken flash drive here, USB connector snapped off, and this one I think is going to be a tough one because as you can see, the traces are a mess. Basically, we're missing, let me grab a pointer, we've got our two power pads. One of the power pads is missing. One of the data pads is missing completely, and this one is probably holding on with hopes and dreams. And the problem is, normally I would just say, oh, no problem, you just solder on upstream, you know. But the issue is that we've got the memory chip here, and the control chip is on the other side. And what I think is going on here is I think that these two signal pads, I think that they go straight through the board through vias to the underside of this control chip, which means I can't get to the other side of them. Or maybe I have to jump onto some of these pins on the control chip. The other issue as well is that on really close inspection, which I'll try and show you now, I believe there may also be some components missing from near the control chip. So firstly, here's a close-up of our pads. So you see on the left hand missing pad, you see that silver dot in the middle? I think that's the via. So that's what I need to solder to. And then in terms of the missing parts, you can see on the very tip of the board there, some stuff has been knocked off. The designators are BC, but I've no idea what BC is. I think they're just capacitors, because these the other stuff around, the other stuff nearby here is also designated BC. So I think that's just bypassing. I think they're just bypass capacitors. So if I'm super lucky, we can work without those bypass capacitors. That's what I'm praying. Otherwise, I don't know what our chances are of getting this back. And just for posterity, that's the controller chip we're dealing with. We may need to know this later on. That's a Phison PS2251. So let's get the soldering iron on and we'll see how much we can just solder straight to. And we'll go from there. So I'll get positioned and we're going to just see if we can get some wires on. The wires I'm going to be using, I've got an old DC jack from a Lenovo here, and as you can see, it's got some fairly thin, weedy wire on it. So I'm going to use that to try and get some jumper wires. And then I'll need to try and secure those jumper wires so I can then hook that up to a proper USB cable. So we'll see how that goes. So soldering iron I'm going to use today is my TS100. Very reliable, and I've got the TSKU knife edge tip on it. Oh, TSKU knife edge tip. There we go. So that's the guy I'm using to solder onto this. Let's see if we can actually get this thing back to life again. Okay, right. I'm going to go in with the alcohol and a toothbrush. The alcohol and some toothbrush, and just try and clean up that area a little bit. There's some general schmutz there. Don't know if the customer tried to glue things back on or anything. They have got some data on here that they are pretty desperate for, so it wouldn't surprise me if they resorted to stuff. Okay, so let's just quickly confirm. So this guy's negative, so our negative is easy, but then this is entirely a ground plane, so yeah, negative is no problem. Our positive pin, which is this guy here, has that got a via going through the board? I think it might do, which is going to be a problem. Cool. Okay, so this guy's going straight into this capacitor, so our power, we're probably going to jump off the back of that capacitor. We should find that the far side of that is ground, so let's test that. Yeah, so that's ground. So that's going to be our positive point, so we don't need to worry about this guy. We're going to solder onto the back of that capacitor. This guy I think is sufficiently intact, but you can see I really want to clean that pad up and remove the remains of this pin, but I'm worried that that pad is going to fall off the moment I touch it. So I'm going to get a wire onto that and then just, yeah, not touch it, basically. Okay, right, let's splice up my donor wire. And then I can try and solder some stuff in. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can tin up that via. Is there even a via there? There is something there, but my chance of getting a wire onto that, I don't fancy them. I'll tin up my wire, and hopefully we can just get that to stick. Oh, shit. That's what I thought was going to happen. Okay. Literally didn't even touch that. I just brushed past it and it popped off. Fine, I expected that. Now I've got to try and stop touching the wire. That's on. Right, now I'm going to grab some Captain tape and I'm going to tape this wire down to the top of the chip so I don't disturb it. Okay, let's go. Wire number 2. And I've got to, before I actually go in there with the soldering iron, I need to get this turned around so the wire is trying to lay against the board. Otherwise it'll just try and pop off. There we go, that'll do. So I've just flowed that. And once again, I'm going to use this pointer just to let go. Yep, that's on. And now we're going to get another small bit of Captain tape and tape down on top of that one. Cool. All right, now we just need power and ground, and then we can see if this thing will turn on just as is. I have concerns about those missing bypass capacitors on the back, but the thing is, we don't need this thing to work well, we just need it to work. It's got to work one more time so we can get that data off of it, and then it's going to get chucked out. And I'm just going to put a little solder blob on the back of that cap. The solder's far too big. No, that's okay, I think that'll do it. Whoops. That little smoke explosion you just saw, that's super glue. Super glue does that when you heat it. So customer definitely attempted to glue this back together. Shut up. There we go. Left the meter on. That's that guy on. And I tell you what, I'm going to just tape all of these down anyway. And now we're just stripping a wire to be our ground. And the ground is going to be really heckin' easy, because we've actually got a pad for the ground, and even if we didn't, basically anywhere that's metallic on this board is a ground plane. So if your ground pad is missing, we can go on to this guy here, or that guy there, or just any other ground point on the board will serve. So loads of places we can hook this guy up to, even if it was a hard one. Okay, right, there's our jumper wires. Now we've just got to hook the ends of these up to a USB cable, and if I'm lucky, we'll have a working flash drive. And I've got a USB cable here somewhere for this express purpose. Let's see if I can find it. There we go, here's my USB cable hooked up to the last flash drive I was recovering. That was an easy one. We had the pads for that. Right, let's detach all of this nonsense. Okay, so wake up soldering iron. We're almost done. Right, so the white pin is going to white. The black is going to green. The red is going to red. As aforementioned, I only need this to work once. These jumper wires are pretty sketchy, to be honest, but whatever. There we go. I apologise for the state of that soldering. I'm not proud of it, but one time. It needs to work one time. Okay, let's plug this thing in, see if we get a mount. It's beautiful. So, there's our soldering to there, there's our soldering to there, and there's a USB header that I'm going to plug into my PC. Let's arrange. All right, I got a connected. The light is flashing. We got a mount. Whew. Okay, let's get all this stuff off. New folder. And I'm going to go all or nothing. Going to Control A. Oh, Control A. Yeah, there we go. Drag to new folder. Oof. That's some pretty sketchy performance we're getting, but it's working. Whew. Done. Data saved. Time to call the customer. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.